did you know goldenrod makes an excellent tea?
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Aaron.
Me.
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
Or what's inside. You suck. Finally, we're going to reveal the... Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Tomic's... veteran of the comic book industry for 30 years, of a writer, of an artist, and this sucks.
Stew, and her name is Minerva Oaks. She's the flower of the Coward Coach.
Don't start! We haven't left yet!
Here I am. Yeah, it's late night and it is live. I'm your friend Aaron, and I got here as soon as I could. So what are you going to do? Thank you, those of you who stuck with me to this late hour. Not so bad on the West Coast, but pretty darn bad on the East Coast. Look at this. I got a Jaws shirt. Kind of mimics a EC EC cover. Look at that. So there you have it. Shelly and I were babysitting this evening, and it's a bit of a drive. And I scheduled this hoping, oh yeah, I'll be back by 9:30 or 10:30, or whatever. So anyway, here we are. It's Aaron Live. I do have a show for you tonight. I think we'll just go right up till probably till midnight tonight, which is 3 a.m. on the East Coast. But this is totally out of my territory. But I thought, should I just blow it off? Should I not do it? But I didn't do one last week because, of course, it's San Diego. And I was like, I can't skip 2 weeks in a row. So I figured probably not going to get the audience that I normally do because half my audience is in bed right now. But we're going to give it a shot anyway, and maybe they'll show up in reruns. All righty. Let's see who actually is here. Sequential Treasures joined us. Wow, he according to this, you were here at 5:52 p.m. That was only 4.5 hours ago. Oh, Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Sequential Treasure, there he is. Pity Maw is joining us. I don't even know if the people that chimed in are even still here. I hope you guys are. Past Master Dan is here. He said, this is kind of late for the big guy. Hope he got in a nap this afternoon. I used to do live streams. And when I say used to, it's not like 20 years ago, but just like, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever. If I was up working late, I'd go, I'm streaming it, and now I'm a little bit more judicious about my streaming because I figured, God, I get a lot more work done when I'm actually not streaming. But I just think it's important to keep the connection going, and you can't go 2 weeks without an Aaron Live show. How can I possibly do that? So we made it happen tonight. Nordic Nerd is here. How about that? And Sequential Treasures, he's still there. He says, you'd think with waiting this long to do the show, he'd actually be on time for it. You'd think. There's Randy Howell all the way from Canada joining us. Quote the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. Maybe he fell asleep. I've done that before. Past Master Dan, he gets crotchety when he's tired. It's like I'm getting I've got this bad rep. I don't think I'd really deserve it. Well, maybe I do. Stealth X5 is here. Let's see. There's Henry Jeremick. Yeah, he's calling me out saying it does say 10 p.m. Pacific or earlier. Yeah, earlier in the morning. Let's see. They think I'm laughing, that I'm snoozing. No. Look at Shelly even chimed in. We're almost home. Epic nights of babysitting our grandson. It is true. There she is again. We're about 5 minutes from home. Keeping you guys updated as the clock just continued to tick. But at least Shelly's in there. He's working on Papa. There she is again. One more turn and we'll be on our street. Shelly in the driveway. And then Randy Hall's race to the bathroom. That's true. I raced to the bathroom. I washed my hands. I want you guys to know that. And yeah, there it is. Pity Mom, wash the hands. Andy Dalf says it's past my bedtime night. I'll watch the show in the morning. Cheers. Sorry, Andy, I couldn't get here soon enough. Creative Faye, she goes, she's up for the show. There you go. Matthew Muma is here. Thank you, Matthew. Stealth with his $2. That'll keep you awake. Thank you, Stealth. Appreciate that. John Porton, Late Night with Lopez. Indeed. Let's see. Henry Jeremy saying it's 1:28 a.m. here. That's late. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me to the bitter, bitter end. And it may get pretty bitter by the end. I don't know. We'll see. Big Boy Robo is here. Asia is wide awake for you, Aaron. Thank you. Appreciate that. A whole nother continent away. And they're buzzing. They're buzzing about Aaron live. And I love that. There's JS. Zaid Comics. That's Phil Diaz in the chat. He's over in Chicago. So I know it's late there. Oh, see, now here comes the guilt. You're actually keeping me from getting my graphics done for my show tomorrow. It's okay, though. Okay. Thank you. I feel better now. I don't know if I do or not. Bretsky the Great is here. Sequential Treasure says even Bigfoot is sleeping right now. Creative Face says now it's truly a late night variety show. Indeed it is. I'm not promising any entertainment value, though, of course, I never do. I think that's just dangerous to make promises you can't keep. But there's one thing I can keep.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Now, I didn't get out and get a treat specifically for the show, but I did pick up these little, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Little apple turnover things. This morning, threw them out on the counter for whoever, wanted to enjoy them. And my daughter has a friend, Ella from college, who's staying with us right now again. So, and of course, Shelly and Grandma and me, and I figured, and there's a couple left. So why not have one at 10:30 at night, since I'm not going to be going to bed for a while. So, nummy. Now, while we consume these late night snacks, no crap. Bear with me here a second. I forgot to add one thing. We cannot skip our Frazetta for the day. So as I'm downloading that, all over my jaw shirt. My son actually got this for me. What did he get it for me for? Father's Day. That's what it was. It wasn't my birthday. What the heck? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at what Frazetta has to offer us for this evening. The interesting thing about this Frazetta painting is the woman hiding down in the little bushes down there, whatever it is, to the right. And that's why I zoomed in the way I did in this video. So if you didn't see it at first, you would. And that was always the thing with me. I remember looking at the guy with the warrior with the, the horse there and everything. And then you go, oh, that's really cool. Then you kind of, second glance, you notice that in the shadows down there, there's a woman with a knife defending herself or getting ready to defend herself down there in the bottom. So that was from 1978. I actually kind of like that painting. Frazetta did a lot of good stuff in the 70s. I mean, he did in the 60s as well, and in the 80s. But I think 70s, he was really, really humming along. That's a nice piece, I think. So there you go. Occasionally, Frazetta will put a figure or something kind of in the shadows off to the side, and you kind of got to look carefully. You blink and you'll miss it, as they say. So anyway, there you go. There's our Frazetta for the day. Koran Zenith, Australian, $10. He's on the other side of the world, which means it's not that late there. It's probably early in the morning, right? Looking forward to your thoughts on the Fantastic Four. By the way, love and prayers to you and your family. I hope everything is going well. Send my love to Shelley. P.S. You are a kick-ass artist. Wow, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Appreciate all the well wishes and appreciate the nice comments about my art. The rest of you should learn a lesson from Koran Zenith here. Luffy, Frazetta is like one of my earliest inspirations, probably my earliest inspiration. So I don't know if you can really kiss Frazetta's butt if he's no longer with us. I'm paying honor to his great artwork, and if you can't appreciate it, Luffy, I think the problem is with you, not with me. Creative Face says your sketchbook is awesome. Thank you. I'm glad it got there. I sent one out to Leg Kick, and for some weird reason, my the postal program, you put in the apartment number, and it didn't print it. It printed without the apartment number, and I didn't look, and so I sent it out. And then I got a notification that it couldn't be delivered, and so then they sent it back, and I'm like, for crying out loud. So then I did it again, and then it did the same thing. But this time I was checking, and the printer printed out without his apartment number on it. So I hand wrote it in on the label to make sure, Leg Kick, that you actually get your sketchbook that you ordered. I pride myself in actually filling orders. So Creative Faces arrive Thursday. Excellent. Luffy, you're confusing me. How the heck did I get sent to a Lopez rerun? Hey, Pat Lopez, you still suck in the future. This is live, baby. This is your reality right now as I shake my fake cigarette at you. Well, even a show that comes on this late at night, still needs a sponsor. And I'm happy to let you all know that I am, in fact, my own sponsor. So let's take a look at this. Wraith of God 3, Fear Hollow. This is the third graphic novel in a series of Wraith of God adventures as he's and his partner Esther hunt down monsters in the Old West. And this is a pretty exciting one. They're facing off against the Headless Horseman and a witch and another character, a villain that also comes from the Wraith's past. A lot of past memories being brought up in this one. A little more information about his origin. You don't really, folks, you don't want to miss this one. If you haven't backed, please consider doing so. You'll find the link in the description of this video. But one of the things I want to call your attention to is not only the 4 wonderful cover options that you have here. For me, I'd get all 4, but hey, I'm a big spender. I know some of you may be on a budget, so you can only pick one, but some nice color interior artwork here. Here's what I want to call your attention to. These were just added, I don't know, a week ago, week and a half ago, something like that. But we have the Bisley t-shirt, Wraith of God t-shirt. And then, of course, once again, re-releasing the Keown werewolf shirt, which is a big favorite of you folks out there. Now, I would encourage you guys to get these shirts because I can't tell you how many times people come up to me and go, oh, I wish I'd got that werewolf shirt. Oh, I didn't get the Kit Carter shirt. I wish I had. If you're wishing you had one of these shirts, then get one. I've been in the past overprinting, so I have extras to sell. I'm not doing that this time. The orders that come in, that's what's getting produced. Now I do have a minimum that I have to hit. So there may be a couple extra shirts, but don't count on it. Don't miss out on these t-shirts. They're high quality. The printing is high quality on them, and the t-shirts themselves are very high quality. You won't be disappointed. Don't miss out on these shirts. Here's some of the stretch goals. These are all, this is the Empire Comics value stamp that will now be appearing in the book, which now means you have to get 2 copies of it because you're going to clip, obviously you're going to clip and collect the value stamp out of one of the books, and you want to keep the other one, completely in mint condition. It'll be in color, of course. This is just black and white. We get a sculpture trading card. She is, of course, from the nightclub, and that'll be colored. And then, of course, Trunk from the nightclub, and that will be colored as well. In fact, it's half inked. We'll show you that in a few minutes. You can get the Wraith of God Nouveau print. This is a really nice print. Signed and number limited to 500. Wraith of God Roughs Volume 3. If you're not getting this, you probably should be. This will be like printed to order, and there's never any extras of these. They're signed and numbered, limited edition to the number ordered. And these are roughs, layouts to the pages, to the graphic novel. So you can get behind the scenes look at this stuff, which is really kind of cool. The process behind the finished artwork. So you can get a shot glass with a nightclub on it. This is the 4th in a series of 6 shot glasses that we're doing. Of course, we've already done the Wraith of God. We've done Garbage Man. We've done Kit Carter. And now we're doing the nightclub. Here's some poker chips with little drawings on the inside of them. I think it's pretty cool. You can get this commemorative set for $15. Of course, we're using Dale's werewolf because I'll use that till I probably drop dead. And of course, if you're behind on your reading, you can get Wraith of God 1 or 2. These are also available on my website for, I think, $5 more, so you get a better deal here, but you got to wait. But actually, you don't have to wait that much longer because I'm less than 10 pages from being done. So anyway, there's all the groovy stuff. This artwork, these 3 pieces of artwork are going to go up for sale on the campaign page here shortly. So I want you guys to be aware of that as well. Of course, I'll send out updates to let you know. again, links in the description of this video will take you to this campaign. And I encourage you to back what some people are calling, or at least my mom is calling, the best comic book of the year. So there you go. I also want to remind you guys that you can go to my website and you'll find a link in the description of this video that will take you right there. You can order any of your back issues. What the main thing that we're pushing right now is the Aaron Lopresti's Graybeard's Studio Sketchbook Ashcan Comic-Con International 2025. Limited edition. There's 100 of these. That's it. They're all signed and numbered. I sold them at Comic-Con. What's left over, I'm now offering up to you guys at the exact same price that they were available at the con. We still have some left, but they're going fast. So get your orders in for these. You can order right off the website. You can also pick up any of these books. They're all available still, although I thought I'd run out of hardcovers, but I didn't. I still had one like box of them. So I don't know what I got, 10 of these maybe. We still have a few Garbage Man. We still have a few Power Cubed. We still have copies of everything. I will say this, we are running out of Bisley. I think I got like maybe 10 copies or less of this Wraith of God Blood Hunters with the Bisley cover that we also made a t-shirt out of. So anyway, we still have Kit Carter soft covers as well. I want everybody to know also, if you don't know, I got artwork for sale like crazy on this website. Look at all this stuff. A lot of this. Ooh, that Kit Carter's gone. I got to take that down. A lot of this stuff was done on Graybeard's studio. Not all of it, but some of it. And there's also pages. There's some Kit Carter pages, Swamp Thing pages, Justice League pages. I got a lot more that I haven't put up yet that it's on my agenda. So always be checking back, especially if you're interested in the original art, because I'm always putting up new stuff, not daily, but regularly. So anyway, check out the website to get books and artwork and prints and all sorts of fun stuff. Even if you just want to look, go take a visit. So there you go. That is your commercial break for today, this evening. There you go. We love Wraith. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, here we go. I guess I should pull up some visual reference for this, shouldn't I? I'm going to try and give a review of the Fantastic Four First Steps movie without any major spoilers, just in case you have not seen it yet. There's a fun little picture. Why don't we go with this? Hang on a second. Okay, there's a little visual aid while we're talking. Okay, so this movie, when I went to see it, had pretty low expectations. In fact, I was waiting to get hit over the head with the wokeisms and all the crap that I figured Disney would throw in here. And I was stunned, quite frankly, to find out that really none of that's in there. This movie was way better than I anticipated it was going to be. Now, is it great? No. Is it good? Yeah. It's a solid. It's worth going to see. Okay. And that, I mean, when was the last time we were able to say that about a Marvel movie? I was afraid that Sue Richards was the leader. What I was getting from the trailer was that she was kind of like the leader of the group. And she was a strong character, much stronger than she was originally portrayed in the comics, which I thought was good because you got 4 superheroes, this family, however you want to view them. And all of them should be contributing members. So she was definitely a strong character, but they still let Reed Richards kind of be sort of in charge. And that's the problem I have with Pedro Pascal. I thought he played Reed Richards well, in the sense that he kind of captured that, excuse me, that sort of overly scientific, overly analytical mind that made him sort of detached from the emotions, and you could sense he wasn't the best husband. And you're not even sure if he's going to be the best father, because he's so programmed for science and kind of cold isn't the right word, but Reed Richards in the comics was always that way. And that's why Sue ended up with the Submariners, because Reed was so busy in the lab, he didn't have time for the important stuff. And I thought Pedro Pascal played that part of it well. The part he didn't play well was he's too soy. I mean, let's face it, the guy, he lacks the command leadership presence that Reed Richards needs. Now, he was okay, but that should have been stronger. He was too wimpy for me in this, and that bugged me a little bit. But because he played the other part of the character well, it didn't ruin it for me. As people are saying that have seen this movie, Pedro didn't ruin the film for them. And I would say the same for me. He didn't ruin the film for it. In fact, he actually played it 2/3 of the character pretty well. You could argue characterization was not very deep. They talk about Johnny Storm being a ladies' man, but we don't really see that. We get a little bit of Ben, out on the street in his trench coat, walking around and experiencing stuff, but it's surface level stuff, right? So we're sort of bringing to the characters what we know from the comics. Now, a really big Fantastic Four fan might be a little bit more hyper critical of this film than I was. I'm not a huge Fantastic Four fan, and so I'm not like, people were complaining to me about, they didn't get the powers right and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't matter to me. That's like, if the movie is its own thing, so you have to judge the movie not based on is it exactly like the comic book, but is it good in the world they've created. And that world they've created is the best way to describe it is this is a live action version of The Incredibles, which everybody has said for years is the best Fantastic Four movie, and it is. But so I guess that Disney said, you know what, The Incredibles worked really well. Let's kind of use that kind of vibe, that kind of 60s weird mesh of retro futuristic technology things. And so I really liked that aspect of it. I liked the look and the charm of the movie and how it looked. And I thought the Galactus stuff was fine. The Silver Surfer being a female, I was outraged, like most of us were, that they did the gender swap. And yet, in the context of this film, it worked pretty well. And the one thing that shocked me the most of this movie, and I can't believe they did it on purpose, this is a very pro-life movie. And I can't believe that Disney or Hollywood would purposely, mindfully set out to do that. So they accidentally made a pro-life film, which I thought was pretty amazing. And so that comes across pretty loud and clear. And I guess for that reason, I give it extra points. But overall, it's a little slow, but it is charming. And the backdrop, the environment was really sort of fun. And for the most part, excuse me, the actors were fine. We all looked at the casting and said, oh boy, why did they cast so-and-so? And why did they cast Pedro? And who's this guy playing the Human Torch? I actually like the actress that played Sue a lot because she's attractive, but she's not too attractive. And I don't think you don't want Sue to be a bimbo, right? She's a mother, and she's a wife, and she's a mother, so she can be attractive, but you don't want like this supermodel. You like Jessica Alba in the eons ago when they made that one. Chris Evans was a better Human Torch than this guy, but this guy was fine. I don't even know who the actors are, so I don't even, But I kind of like Sue Richards. I kind of like the fact that they gave her something to do other than make sandwiches for the rest of the team. Again, she was strong-willed, but she wasn't over the top. And and she fought for the life of her baby, and everybody else did too. So very nice. Jiminy Cricket says, pro-life, I mean baby, dummy. I don't mean just killing people. I mean protecting their baby. And the scene where Sue lets Reed Richards look inside her uterus, and so they can see a healthy baby in there, and it's kind of like, oh, so it hasn't been born yet, and it's a life. It's a human life. I don't think that was the intention they were trying to, but that's what came across pretty loud and clear. So when I say pro-life, that's what I meant. But yeah, the Silver Surfer was trying to kill her baby, so obviously they had to kill this, or thought they'd kill the Silver Surfer. That's why she said that. But yes, that is true. I did like that little montage. I was gonna add that to it as well. Is that the movie starts with them already, the Fantastic Four, which is I'm grateful for, that we didn't have to go through yet another long build-up origin story, them finding out about themselves and their powers, and then still trying to fit in fighting a villain or something. So they did it in a flashback on like a TV show type thing where they were kind of doing a retrospective on the Fantastic Four, which I thought worked really nice. It told the whole story in a couple of minutes and got everybody caught up to speed. And that was great. The only thing, I have one major complaint that really pissed me off about this movie, the Mole Man. It's almost like they just took a fat guy and gave him sunglasses. And it's like, could you not have I know he's not a major character in the film. In fact, he's a minor character in the film. But he's just a fat guy. He could have been Santa Claus. The guy could play Santa Claus. It's like, ugly him up a little bit. He lives underground. Pale his skin. Get an ugly dude to play him, kind of like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Do a little bit of makeup or something. Instead, it was just a fat guy with glasses. Mole Man glass. I was like, why are you? If you're going to put this little effort into them, why even have him in here? But thankfully, like I said, he was only in it for a couple of minutes. But seriously, so that really ticked me off. But the homage to some of the old villains, like the Red Ghost and his three evil monkeys, or what, gorillas or orangutans, whatever, and the Puppet Master, and different references to I think the Mad Thinker they referenced, just characters that were just kind of fun that they kind of threw that in there. Jiminy Cricket says they took John Malkovich's Red Ghost out of the film completely. That'd have been cool. I'm sure it had to have only been not much more than a cameo, and that's probably why they cut it. There's things they could have done to develop like Johnny and Ben's character a little bit more easily, without time constraint, without making the movie longer. They just could have used their time more judiciously. Like I said, it was slow going for a while, but because of the environment, you had the Herbie the Robot stuff that was kind of fun, and the scenery and the set design, and like the goofy flying car they've got and all this kind of stuff. All that stuff was kind of fun. And even though nothing was happening for periods of time, that sort of charm sort of carried it through. And then I thought the Galactus scenes were exciting. And so anyway, again, you're going to have a variety of people giving different opinions on this. But I will say solid good, not great, but a solid good. And considering what Marvel has been exposing us to or subjecting us to over the last several films and TV shows, just being decent is a success. And this film is it's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's an enjoyable experience. So there you go. Stealth X5 says, good night all. I can't take it anymore. Sequential Treasure says they cut out the red ghost because Disney's full of commies now. Oh my gosh. Good night, Stealth. Thanks for joining us thanks for staying up and joining us for the time that you did. 11 o'clock right now. It's still early on the West Coast, sort of. Okay. Stealth says it's 2 a.m. for me. Hey man, I appreciate you hanging in there. I remember when I was in high school and college, we used to do like movie marathons, me and a friend of mine, and we'd see if we could stay up like all night and watch horror films or whatever. And I don't know what the appeal of that ever was. It always seemed like an exciting thing to do until you actually did it. And then it's like 4 a.m. and you're like, why am I still awake? Anyway, Barb Rogers, Ms. Solar Terror, Canadian $5. Thank you, Barb. Sends me this super sticker. I appreciate it very much. I haven't figured out how to. Well, actually, I have. I can find the super stickers, but I can't do it during the show. It's too confusing for me. But I'm sure it's a wonderful super sticker, and I appreciate it very much. There you go. Without overthinking things too much with regards to the film, I enjoyed it, and that's kind of where I fall on it. So anyway, there you go. There are my thoughts on the FF. I think on the landing party, we're going to go over not only the Star Trek episode this week, but we're going to go over the Fantastic Four again. I knew I wouldn't be able to get all of my thoughts in on the landing party, so I wanted to do it here. You'll get my rating for the film on the landing party, though. So you'll have to tune in on Wednesday to hear about that. All righty. So here we are. I didn't have a ton of stuff planned for tonight because I was like, who wants to stay up till midnight? But gosh darn it, I'm going to do it anyway. Let's pull up this and where is it? StreamYard is like, they keep moving stuff around and it's very confusing for an old dude like me. Now, I've shown this before, but I want to show you a little progress here. I was inking this. I'm like working on pages and I'm inking this and I'm doing all sorts of things and stuff. So as you can see, this is starting to come together a little bit. This, of course, is the artwork for the trunk trading card. Now, and this will be for sale once I get it inked. I'm using a brush and taking a little extra care. As you can see, I'm trying to give a little bit of a pointy edge here, an angular look to some of this stuff, a little rough edge here and there, rather than just have it be ridiculously slick all the time. So we're working on that. And when I say we're, I mean me. But anyway, so there's the trunk trading card. So close to being inked and finished. I will show, what else do I got? Now this isn't done. But I started this on Graybeard's, Naked Alert. We're doing Frazetta Girls, and so I'm working on this painting. And she doesn't have any clothes on yet because I'm not sure what I'm going to put her in, but she will have something on. The idea of a naked lady running around, with a spear and a knife fighting, it seems, it's like a naked dude going into battle. It's like, you got to at least gird up your loins. You know what I'm saying? So this isn't done yet, obviously, but it's a work in progress. I really like the drawing, though. She has a cute face, and I will get this done, hopefully, before the next Graybeards, although fingers crossed, I don't know. We'll see. And the other thing I did, I posted this on Twitter, but, maybe all of you didn't see it. I can find it. It's in here someplace. Oh, here we go. Oh, this one. Yeah, another Man-Thing drawing. Yeah, so usually at 11 o'clock at night, when I'm not streaming, this is the kind of stuff I'm doing. But anyway, there it goes. It goes in the old portfolio right next to my, look at that Dark Wolf painting there I did in acrylic. I still like how that turned out. But anyway, so there you go. Man-Thing. Always in the portfolio. Always ready for action. Let's see. Quran Zenith for 10. More Australian says, any plans for Nightclub beyond which you have already put out? There's always plans. There's always plans. Wasn't that the Joker said? Commissioner Gordon, he's got plans. Batman's got plans. Let me put it to you this way. David Williams and I talk quite a bit, as you might imagine. And we oftentimes discuss projects or formatting for projects, what might work the best. And he's almost got me convinced to do, instead of doing these massive graphic novels all the time, to come in and say, do like a Tales of Suspense type book, meaning back in the 60s, Marvel, because they could only, their distribution was handled by DC Comics, and DC would only allow them to do 10 titles a month. And so what they had to do was put multiple stories in a title so they get more of their characters out there, right? So Tales of Suspense, for example, had Iron Man and Captain America in it. And so what if you did a book where it was Wraith of God, but then there was also a Garbage Man story in there? So it was like split, and or Wraith of God nightclub story or whatever. So I'm seriously thinking about doing that because as you guys know that have backed me regularly over the years, putting together a 64 plus, and it's usually plus with my books, page graphic novel takes about a year. I mean, it just does, with promotion and then all the stuff in the tail end, dealing with the printer and getting the book ready to go to press, dealing with the printer, get everything shipped out, all that kind of stuff. I guess we would call that fulfillment, right? It takes about a year to do it. And I'm trying to figure out ways to be more productive in the sense that I'm getting more product out. So the only way to do that is to shorten up the projects. And so, we'll see. I do have plans. Again, I do have already know what I'm doing next after Wraith of God 3, but we're not going to be revealing that for a little bit. And so there you go. Does that answer your question? I don't know. Am I going to do more? There's a lot of stuff I'd like to do more, but it depends on, I've had people come up to me and say, oh, you should do more Power Cubed. And I'm like, I don't think that I should, because I don't think there's enough people that feel that way. And so you always kind of have to gauge, where's the interest at? Where's the reader's interest at? Do I do this just because 5 people come up to me and say you should do this? Well, I need like 1,000 people, 1,500 people to say, yeah, do that. And then I'll do it. So have we seen the last of the nightclub? No. How is that going to look? I don't know. I don't see myself doing a nightclub book in and of itself at this point, but there will be more nightclub stories. And just like Garbage Man, I don't know that I'm going to do a Garbage Man book, although I've had people ask me about that. I think we're going to see more Garbage Man stories, but it may be in the context of backups and things like that. So we'll see. Never say never. Art of Roy is right about this. Boobs, Aaron, boobs is where the interest lies. That is absolutely true. But however, that's not where my interest lies. I should say that's not where my interest lies in doing books. I know that it's a surefire way to increase sales, but it's not a road I'm going to go down. So if I fail because I don't do that, then I guess I'm perfectly satisfied in going that route, because you have to stay true to yourself and stay comfortable. And so exploitation is not necessarily my thing. So yes, there's an answer to that. Anyway, so there you go. I really wish I was a bigger company and that I could, be doing like 3 things at once. But I've actually had a guy who's a pretty good artist actually show me his portfolio at San Diego. And he said, "Are you hiring?" And I said, "I don't make enough money to hire anybody. I'm sorry, And he goes, "Well, what about for free?" And I said, "I do not publish people's work for free. I think that's not cool. So if I ever use anybody, I would pay them. And that's why I don't use anybody, because I have to pay them. And I don't have any money to pay them. But you never know. You never know. The next project could just be freaking huge. And then, so we'll see. Okay. Where are we at? Oh, you know what? We're going to do cover artists this week. And it's a good one. I almost forgot about good old Barry Windsor-Smith. Now, Barry's an interesting cat because he's known, I guess it depends on how old you are as to what he's known for. I mean, guys younger than me would probably say, "Oh, he's known for Weapon X." I would say he's known mostly for Conan. And it's interesting because he obviously did Conan covers in the early 70s. But then he, like Bernie Wrightson, sort of left comics for several years there in the mid to late 70s, trying to do their own thing, meaning illustration, meaning, we've talked about this a dozen times before, but bringing fine art, comic book art, presenting it as a fine art. In other words, they were doing their own limited edition prints. They were doing portfolios, very artsy, fartsy, fine arts things with comic book slant. And obviously all of them ended up, Wrightson included, all ended up working in film or back in comics. So if those guys couldn't make a go of it long-term as comic book fine artists, what do any of us have a chance to do it? But we all long to do it, because it's like, you feel like if I can get out of that format where I'm doing, 4 to 6 panels on a page, I can get out and just do single illustrations of cool things. Certainly people will support that. But the reality is, or at least the reality that I've discovered, is that people want stories, and they want characters with stories attached to them, so people can appreciate art. But you can only push that so far. Generally, it's other artists buying your art, but it's readers and fans of the medium that want stories. And I understand that, and I get that. And so I fight the urge to try and do my next illustration project in lieu of doing another graphic novel or more stories, because I know that's where the interest lies. So anyway, let's take a look at Barry Smith. So my point in saying all that was that, you think of Barry Smith as a 70s artist because we're still sort of in the 70s, but he's one of the guys that crossed over big time into the 80s. Because the stuff he did in the 80s was as good, as anything he was doing in the 70s. You can't say that for a lot of people, but he did. He made that kind of crossover. So he's a 70s and an 80s guy. And then, of course, he did work in the 90s as well, and he's still doing work. But let's go ahead and jump in here and take a look at some of, and again, these are not what I'm saying the best Barry Smith covers, because everybody's going to have their own opinion. These are simply my favorite Barry Smith covers. And so there you go. Let's, these are not in any particular order, but let's go back to the beginning and take a look at Conan the Barbarian, #1. Now, obviously, he did some stuff before Conan #1, you know, X-Men, what was it, 56 or something, where he did the cover and art. He did some Avengers issues here and there. Now, this is not prime Barry Smith yet. However, I don't even know who inked this. Did Marie Severn ink this? Where's Marcus Killigrew when you need him? Because I don't think, I'm almost positive he didn't ink this. But he's still sort of transitioning from his Kirby stage into his, you know, more romantic stage that we're more familiar with. But this is still a really well-designed cover. Again, you know how I am, big central figure to draw your attention in. This is a first issue, so you want your character to be big and prominent. And, you know, he's got a girl down at his legs. He's got, you know, warriors attacking from both sides. He's got winged demon things flying in there. This is a really good cover, and that's why it's on this list. Karan Zenith for 50 Australian. Wow, thank you, sir. He says, I loved Wraith of God 2, but there was something about Nightclub made me realize that the Wraith of God storyline was reaching out to something more. Made me keen to extrapolate the storyline within my own mind. I wanted more, and that's a credit to you. Thank you, Karan Zenith. Yes, there is a connection there that will be revealed at some point, but at this point, we're not there yet. So you can continue to create it in your mind, and then when it comes out, you'll see whether you were correct or not. But thank you for the 50. That was very generous. Appreciate it very, very much. Randy All says the interior was inked by Dan Adkins. Okay. Louis Brightway is saying this. John Verputten and Sam Rosen inked it. Okay. There you go. It's still a great, powerful cover. Roy, ever meet Barry Windsor-Smith, Aaron? I did get him to sign my Weapon X's and the trade and a few Conans. Wow. I've met Kaluta, I've met Wrightson, but I never got to meet Barry Smith because he was, when he was doing stuff for Malibu, that's where I would have had the connection. But even the Malibu guys were like, he's very aloof, and he had a rep kind of guy that you had to talk to that guy, then he would talk to Barry. So there was not a lot of direct contact. And I know some guys that have, like, I think Joe Jusko knows him, and or at least has met him. And yeah, I was never got the opportunity even to meet him. But a big admirer of his work, obviously. Okay, so let me see what order I want to do this in. I guess I'll just go. Like I said, this is not in any order. I'll save my favorite of his covers for the last, I guess. But let's take a look at some of these. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Is this a poster or was this actually used as a cover? Now, he did do Machine Man. I guess that was in the 80s, right? The early 80s. And it was really kind of cool. And he had some cool covers, but I really thought this one was crazy nutty. And I think you can look at stuff like this and you kind of see that you know, Arthur Adams was inspired by some of this type of stuff, obviously along with Michael Golden. Art Adams was inspired by Golden and people like Barry Smith and stuff like that. You can kind of see that in here a little bit. But I don't know for sure if this is actually a cover or if it was a poster, because I couldn't find an image of this with like an issue number or anything. I just found this image. So I may be cheating. Sequential says, I think that was the trade paperback cover. Well, if that was a trade paperback cover, that counts. But I do like it. And again, you've got centralized figure to the left, the big head to the right, all the little detail stuff that's sort of cool looking that kind of frames those other two bigger images. And Barry Smith, of course, has a style that is unique to himself. So you see something he's drawn and you don't confuse it with anything else. So you run over there and go, ooh, this is cool. Which is exactly what I did when I saw that. Now, this is something I just discovered recently, and this could be character bias. But John Buscema did this Cole series in the early 80s. And it's 12 issues or 11 issues or 10 issues. Maybe, I think it's 10. I take it all. I don't know. I bought all of them recently. I haven't sat down and read them yet. But I really like this cover. I like the color. This, of course, is Barry Smith's, inking and then watercoloring or dyes over the top of the ink. And one of the things he does I thought was interesting, if you look in here closely, he uses the color to do like feather lines. So he's got look at this. He's got his black feather lines in here, but then he goes in and uses the color when he's painting over the top of it to put in feather lines. And I'll show you even a way better example than this later on. But I'm a huge King Cole fan. I just thought it was just kind of an interesting, dramatic close-up of King Cole. And immediately, because I saw this cover, I was like, I got to get this. I got to get this series. And then I found out Buscema drew it, and I was like, okay, I'm getting the whole thing. But, people would argue this maybe isn't his best cover, but it really hit me. Probably, like I said, because I'm a Cole fan, but I dig it. And I dig the color job he did on it, too. Barb, again, another super sticker. I don't know what it is, Barb, but I'll look later. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. $5. Louis Brightman says, from 1984, this was used as the cover to the trade collection of issues 1 through 4, and also as the cover to Machine Man 2020 #1. So it's been used twice as a cover, so then it counts. Barry Windsor-Smith did the watercolor over the line art on that one too. Yeah, he did a lot of that, and I really like the way it looked. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this one. This isn't actually one of my favorite ones, but it's kind of almost iconic now, so I thought I would include it. He did a couple of, here again in the 80s, did some X-Men covers and some other Marvel covers like Daredevil and Iron Man and things like that. And he actually did the interiors on a couple of these issues as well. And this is one of them where he did the interiors, but he also did the cover. And I just think the whole storm floating in the clouds thing, and I'm sure he colored this as well. Like I said, it's not one of my favorites. If I had a top 10 list, this wouldn't be on it. But because it's iconic and we all know it, I thought, you know what? I better put it in here. Because if I don't, people will be pissy with me. But again, it's got elements on it that I really like. You've got, again, this one central figure. There's a lot of drama, those clouds behind her, the sweeping, swirling motion, then the color kind of grabbed you. So, I mean, you can't sit there and say that Barry Smith did not know what he was doing when he was designing covers. Let's take a look at this. This is a This is probably, in my opinion, one of his best Conan covers. Now we have the box art, so we know it's from 1972. Again, I would bet money he colored this just looking at the palette. But you got like, you got a big figure of Conan with his mace, and there's a lot of curve here in the figure. So it's got a lot of motion. It doesn't feel like stiff and posed. And you got these zombie like warrior dudes back here, you know? And then he's worked in some lettering on the sail of the ship, Hawks from the Sea. And then he's got, look at that big old Barry Smith signature. There's some good Conan covers, and I didn't want to pick a ton of them because that's too obvious. But this is one of my favorite ones. So there you go. That is Conan number 19 from 1972. Agent Cub for $2. Thank you, Agent. Appreciate that. He says, why are you streaming so late? Because Shelly and I were babysitting our grandson this evening, and I was hoping to get home about 9:30 Pacific time. And I was thinking about just not doing the show at all, but then I was like, I didn't do a show last week because of San Diego and the San Diego Comic-Con. So I was like, I don't want to skip 2 weeks in a row. And I figured the people that can't stay up late to watch this, they can pick it up in the reruns. So I thought it was worth doing. That's why I'm here so late. Now, Chino Verbis, Mr. Lopez, when will Kit Carter hardcover be available? Wait a minute. The Kit Carter hardcover is available. I assume you're talking about not a collected version of Kit Carter, because there's only one Kit Carter. Well, there's the 15-page backup story in Wraith of God 2 with Kit Carter, but then the graphic novel I did, that's it. So there's no, like, if you're talking about a collected edition, we're not to a point where there'd be a collected edition yet. And, but if you're referring to, well, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to, but I'm going to show you what I've got and you can make your own decision. This is on my website, and the link is in the description of the video. Take you right there. This is on the books. If you go under the store section up here at the top, right there, and go under books, this is what comes up. And you see this right here? This is the hardcover. It's the limited edition, signed and numbered Kit Carter hardcover. It's the same story as the soft cover, but it has an art gallery in the back where I had guest artists contribute. And it's also signed and numbered by me, limited to 750 copies. And I've got like 10 of them left or something. So you can order this on the website right now if that's what you're referring to. Now, if you're not referring to that, if you're referring to some sort of like collected edition or something, there's not enough material to do a collected edition at this point. So there you go, Chino. That's the best I can answer you. Aaron, back in 90s, Danzig did a CBS signing. Wait a minute, hang on a second here. Let's try and read this in English. Aaron, back in the 90s, Danzig did a CBCS signing. No, because they weren't around then. CBS signing. When I was there, the owner had one of the Conan Saga original paintings up for the signing. I stared at the thing for a good 20 minutes. It was in South Florida. Wow, that's cool. Seeing the originals, man, it's nothing like seeing a screenshot. There's just nothing like it. Okay, moving right along here. Oh, this is kind of tiny. Now, I did include one Weapon X cover. And there's a lot of good ones. I think the one where he's kind of smaller and in the snow, I kind of like a lot. But this one is cool. I just like all the funky tech, right? Because I'm not good at tech. And like that weird helmet and all the wires and the blood and I don't know. It's a strong image that takes up the whole cover. And I'm like, yeah, I'm buying this. And I did. I've got the whole Weapon X series in Marvel Comics Presents, which is where I did my first work. It was in, at least first work for Marvel was in Marvel Comics Presents. Sir Nate of Callus for $50. Whoa. Thank you very much for that, Sir Nate of Callus. Here's a few bucks for your ongoing cryptid research. I love your streams and content. Keep on keeping on, good sir. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I do a lot of cryptid research, and that kind of scientific funding really helps, and I appreciate it very much. So anyway, this is my, I like I said, there's like 12, I think, of these he did or something. So I'm sure there's varying opinions on these, but this, after looking at them all side by side, I was like, this is my favorite. So there you go. Nut Meat says Alo After Dark. Indeed it is. Improby, what the heck? Aaron is burning the late night oil tonight. Yes, I am. I'm usually not streaming this late. I'm usually up this late, but usually drawing. But instead, spending time with you guys. All right, this is, I always like this one. In fact, I've never been an Iron Man collector, but I do collect certain covers. And I remember when this came out, I just picked it up because I was like, and I think Barry did the inside too, right? Barry, I talked to, like, he's my friend. Mr. Smith did the interiors on this too, I think. And I would always buy a comic, at least a Marvel comic that he did the interiors on. I didn't buy all of his Valiant stuff. But seeing somebody like Barry Smith do a take on Iron Man, and someone mentioned here or just a little bit ago in the chat that he's a very organic artist, which is very true. So to see him do stuff that you wouldn't, you think he's always sword and sorcery. That's what you're always thinking. But then he does Iron Man. You're like, well, I got to see what this looks like. And it was pretty cool, actually. But again, a very stark, centralized figure to draw your attention to the book. And I think this is just good cover art. I don't like busy covers. I like covers like this, as long as they're well executed. And this is well executed. It's interesting looking. I don't even know if it has anything to do with what's inside the book. I can't remember, but it makes you want to pick it up. And again, another successful cover by Barry Windsor-Smith. I'm sorry, I was reading the chat here. True Fan says, if you could have one of your characters drawn by Barry Windsor-Smith, which would it be? It'd be really weird. Garbage Man would be really bizarre, because I saw Barry Smith did a drawing of Sludge for a trading card, and it was like interesting. And I thought that might be interesting. Wraith of God it's just masses of black, right? So it's like it's not going to look all that different than if anybody else did it. I do have, I think I would do Garbage Man just because it would be interesting to see how his take on it. Look at that. Barb Rogers is sending me super stickers like freaking crazy. Thank you, Barb. Merilith 2005 says, BWS details give me goosebumps running up the back of my neck. Yeah, he's pretty freaking cool. Creative Fag getting a little ahead of herself there. We're not to Bigfoot yet, but she says, Aaron, I feel I do have to point out one of the requirements to be a cryptozoologist is they usually have to have a degree in biology, a related field to apply to their study of the unknown. I don't believe that for a minute, Creative Faye. I don't believe that for a minute. There's plenty of yahoos out there that call themselves cryptozoologists that I know do not have a biology degree. So I'm going to take issue with that, even though I don't really have any evidence to back it up. But now, how about this? Again, you're talking about, don't really expect to see Barry Smith doing a Daredevil cover, but here it is. And look at those funky colors in the background. And that like sort of X composition with Daredevil and the Black Widow. No, I'm not a huge fan of Barry Windsor-Smith's female drawings. They tend to be a little bit on the emaciated looking side. But that's a cool looking Daredevil. And the composition's great. And look how rough that inking is. Look at the black. How he left, these highlight details in the black rather than going solid black to give it some texture. I really kind of like that. So yeah, this again was in the 80s. And again, a very cool cover that, and again, maybe it's because I'm a Barry Smith fan, but I see something like this and I didn't necessarily collect Daredevil, but I bought this issue because I was like, ooh, Barry Smith, that's cool. There's Dan Lawless. What the heck? Dan Lawless is like in Michigan, which they got to be on East Coast time. So Dan must be up late working. Must be up working. Thanks for joining us, Dan. Appreciate that. Michael Deach for 5. Do you have any more planned con appearances coming up this year? No. I'm going to be in New Mexico, in Albuquerque in January. I think that's it. I might end up in a convention in Bellevue, Washington, but I haven't been formally invited yet, so I don't know if that's going to come through or not. But I'm not doing the Portland show in September, I don't think. And so yeah, I'm not a big traveler anymore. People got to invite me. Oh, I keep this is going to sound like a what do they call it, a subtle brag or something, but I keep getting invited to international shows. I don't get invited to ones in the United States hardly at all. And so like I've had to turn this trip down to Spain for multiple years now because Shelley, when I first got invited to it, Shelley was teaching and it was in September. And it was like we couldn't do it because she was teaching. And I'm not going to Europe without Shelley because I would come back and be killed. And then in the last couple of years, her health hasn't been great. So we haven't been able to do it. So I keep getting invited to this great show in Spain and I have to keep turning the guy down. And I go, please ask me again next year. I'm hoping that things will work out, And then somebody else talking about going to Argentina. And then I was like, that's a 21-hour flight. Are you kidding me? I mean, I might as well just go to the South Pole at that point. And so I have rejected that as well for the time being. Somebody invited me to Mexico City, and I actually talked to some people, and they're like, you don't want to go to Mexico City. And I'm like, okay. So, yeah, but in terms of stuff in the United States, I think I went to I've been to one show in Texas. And Bedrock City put on a show a couple of years ago. They invited me to that. I was at that one. But yeah, I'm not paying for myself anymore. Someone wants to bring me out, I'll do it. But I'm not our audience, we have such a, when I say we, I mean creators in general, we can have such a large audience online now that if you have to pay to go to a show, it's like you really got to weigh the benefits of doing that. And I mean, I do that at San Diego for a variety of reasons, but other than that, it's like, man, if I don't get an invitation, I'm not going. So I did get invited to Albuquerque, so I'm going to that. Let's see, who else did I miss? 10-8 Comics for $4.99. Thank you. Says, great show, young man. And theme hardcover Kit Carter shows up as sold out on my store page. Plus, I have all these covers so far. Have you refreshed your store page? Do you have it saved someplace and haven't refreshed it? Because it was sold out. And then I realized I had some more. So I went. Oh, it does show sold out. Oh, crap. I thought I changed that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see if we can go in there and fix that right now. Let me see. What do I got to do here? I thought I fixed that. Doggone it. I just have too much freaking responsibility. That's my problem. Let's see if we can find it here. Going through my I sell through Shopify, which actually has worked out pretty well. There it is. Okay, let me see. It says it's oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, hang on a second. Watch me fix this. In let's say I think I've got 10 left. I'm going to put, well, we'll put 7 in there just in case. Okay, now it says quantity updated. Let's go back to the store and see what happens. Okay. We're going to bring this up. Okay, so then if I go in here and refresh this, boom. There it is. Add to cart. You can get one now. Sorry for that mistake there on my part. Barb, again, thank you for Kit. Aaron Lopresti, thank you, Barb, for all the super stickers tonight. Thank you very much. There it is. Kit Carter hardcover is back in stock, baby. All right. So I know I've got at least 7. I probably have more than that, but I'm not going to put too big of a number in there than then people order it and not have it. That would be kind of embarrassing. All right. Anyway, link in the description of this video will take you right to my website. Also, it'll take you to the campaign, Wraith of God 3, which I, of course, encourage all of you to back if you have not done so already. And also, since we do this late night show like this, and we have a decent number of people watching, which I appreciate very much, hit the like and subscribe if you don't mind. It helps the channel grow. All right, this may be my favorite Barry Smith cover. There's another one I'm kind of torn, but we'll show this one now, and then I'll show the other one last. This, now I'm trying to think. I think this is reprint material inside, but oh baby, what a cover. And yeah, Special Academy Award issue, 2 of the greatest Conan sagas ever told. Now, when they say the Academy Award issue, what are they talking about? They had the Academy of Comic Book Arts, ACBA, which I think Neil Adams started. And I think it went for like 3 years, 2 or 3 years, then it went under. But they would have awards like, you know, best newcomer or best series and best artist and all this kind of thing. So Conan won best series in 1971 when it came out, and Barry Smith won best artist. 1972, Wrightson won it for Swamp Thing, and Swamp Thing won best series, the ACBA awards. I know Simonson won one for Manhunter, which I think was 73. So I think they had those awards for like at least 3 years, but not much more than that. And then they went under. But it was kind of cool because it was pros giving awards out to other pros. And it wasn't, you know, now with the independent market and the, how should we say, the non-action adventure superhero categories that, you know, like Eisner's and things like that, they always go to people that you've never, now this is going to sound bad, but that would not be considered mainstream talents. And you're like, you know, who's this guy? And what's this, you know, Fantagraphics book that they're talking about, right? And I always felt like over the years, they've ignored mainstream comics, and really good artists in mainstream comics have been ignored in an attempt to elevate indie people, indie artists more. And it's okay if they deserve it, but I don't know that necessarily it was always deserved. And so this was back when popular comics were winning awards. And so that's what that Academy Award is referring to. But anyway, I love this cover. Great picture of Conan standing in water here. You've got these dead soldiers around him here in this stream. I mean, this is like poster quality kind of stuff. This is when he's doing his illustrative stuff, and just before he kind of broke off and started doing his own thing. And you can just tell how far his style had come since, you know, he was kind of a Kirby heavily influenced by Kirby, I guess I should say. So that's my favorite. We still have a couple more I want to look at. This is a very famous Wolverine cover from X-Men. Again, this is when I like came out and I was like, ooh, I better get that. Again, same thing, big centralized figure, interesting color scheme. Now, Senor Goon, I don't think likes the color scheme, says, wondering what the cover would look like with new colors. You know, and again, I'm old fashioned, but I'm not a big fan of this, you know, the hyper rendered airbrushy sort of Photoshop coloring. I prefer old school coloring with just good color choices. 10-8 says that's the last #1 of the Conans I have to pick up. Side note, Gil Kane had some great Conan covers too. Yes, he did. And I think we shared some of those when we did the Gil Kane covers a couple weeks ago. Now, this is very similar to the Iron Man cover, but because it's so good, I kept it on the list here. God, that looks like Arthur Adams, but I'm almost positive it isn't. Somebody correct me if that's Arthur Adams. I don't think so. I think that's Barry Smith, isn't it? Yeah, that's got to be Barry Smith. This inking right in here is very Barry Smith. Creative Phase hitting the wall. She's going to bed, not staying up for the Bigfoot videos. We're almost there. We're almost there. But anyway, I really dig this cover. It's very similar again to the Iron Man cover, but more detail in it. But again, you have a very detailed cover, but you still have a big, strong, centralized image there of the character that draws your focus. And I think those are, it's just a nice combination of both elements. All right, now here's my favorite maybe. It's either that Conan or this. This actually was made into a poster, and I don't know that this illustration was done specifically to be a cover of Epic Illustrated, or if they just, because they were doing an interview on Barry Smith or with Barry Smith, that they used a piece of his artwork for the cover. So I don't know if it's kind of cheating to say, but it's still, they used it as a comic book cover or a comic magazine cover. And I've actually got a poster of this framed or print hanging in my hallway. And I actually ripped this off. Mine is grossly inferior to this, but I used this image as inspiration for a color piece that I did. Very, very similar to this. I mean, I ripped it off, just not exactly, but pretty close. And but my mom loved it so much because I inked it and then watercolored it, much like Barry Smith did here. And I think my mom still has it hanging up in her room right now. My 94-year-old mother, well, not quite 94. She will be in a couple weeks. But I love the figure. I love the posture. Again, it's very romantic in its style, and yet I think it's a powerful image. The peacock is really cool. Now I want to show you what I was talking about with the line work that's painted on here. You can see it in here that he actually feathered with the paint, which I'd never seen before. And I don't know, that might be colored pencil, although, you know, over watercolor. That's a likely situation, but I don't know for sure because I haven't seen the original. But you can see the line work there, like the feathering line stuff in here. And I had never seen that before. And so I actually tried to do it, but I did it with watercolor. So I did like feathering, colored feathering in the colors over the ink, as I was doing my best to rip off Barry Smith. But yeah, I do dig this piece quite a bit. So there you have it. That is my look at some tremendous covers by the legendary Barry Windsor-Smith. Sir Native Callus for $20. Thank you so much. Been very generous tonight. Just bought a hardcover Kit Carter for my fiance. Thanks for releasing it on the website. She's going to love it. Thank you for supporting me and my books. Greatly appreciate it. That thing will should ship out tomorrow. Drawing for Fun and Profit says that peacock looks snooty. There you go. There's a good way to describe it. Barry combined the power of Conan with decorative beauty, says Dan Lawless. I think that's a very apropos description. All right, guys, believe it or not, we've been going almost an hour and a half. That seems incredible to me, and yet it's true. That means there's only one thing left to do. And it is this. All right. I do have, well, I guess we'll call it a better quality of Bigfoot videos this week. Now this one's pretty long, and I believe which is amazing because you don't expect to see this much footage. Now, whether or not you're going to believe what you're seeing, okay, that guy is not taking a dump. I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, here we go. Oh, so we have Bigfoot up here jumping down. Now, I thought we did this one earlier, but then there's more as they're following through the woods, apparently, and he's running away. And I thought like we saw this one previously, but it ended right here. Now, I kind of, you've got an athletic Bigfoot here. He's jumping down into that gully, so good for him. Then here he is running away. Still kind of feels like a guy in a costume to me. But, and then we get this long shot here of him running. So what do you think of this? I mean, for what we've been subjected to, or what I've subjected you to, what I've been subjected to myself for as long as we've been doing this is some pretty horrible videos. But it's got a little bit of action in it. Obviously we're rerunning the same footage here, but kind of feel like this dude is trying. If it's a guy in a costume, he's trying. The guy who put him up to it, they're trying to give us something. So I like this here where he jumps down, right? Especially if that's a dude in a costume, that's pretty good. Could have turned an ankle doing that. But then we come back and we get now Bigfoot is fleeing the scene. So he jumps down, scares the guy off. Now the question is, why is there an edit right here? Why is it cut right here? Maybe because they took off running, they're terrified for their lives, and they go back and catch him, Bigfoot running away. I don't know. Possibly feels a little staged here. Dan Lawless wants to know, Aaron, have you ever seen the Bigfoot taking an energy drink? I haven't. I have seen him eat Jack Link's beef jerky, though. Everybody thinks that's Kelsey, that's not Bigfoot at all. Oh, Art of Roy, I'm on deadline, so I'm up till it's finished, then off to bed to get up at 8. Yikes. I'll be getting up early tomorrow too, but I'm not on a deadline, at least not tonight. So anyway, I think I'm still not buying it, but I think that's better than a lot of what we've seen recently on this show. Okay, now what do you think of this? This is apparently the Appalachian Bigfoot. So they're all over the place. We don't know where that last one was taken at, but this one is in the Appalachians somewhere, which doesn't really narrow it down, but look at that big forearm right there. Big monkey hand here, big forearm. It's like his hands are almost reaching down to his feet. So it makes you kind of wonder if that's some sort of goofy costume or something. But then we get him. God, his feet are not very big, are they? They look like tiny feet. It's a little on the blurry side. And here's the dead giveaway. Oh, that's not bad there. That's sharper. But then we zoom in, it gets blurry. When everything is blurry, even the stuff in the foreground, it's probably an indication that somebody went in there and blurred the whole thing up. I'm not sure I'm buying those arms. Those arms look pretty fake to me. And Proby says that could be an inbred Appalachian. You might be onto something there. Henry Jeremick says, it's 3 a.m. I'm out. I'm sure that I'll not miss Bigfoot. He might miss me, though. We'll all miss you. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate you hanging in there. Barb Rogers, for $10, another super sticker. Barb, I'm going to have like a whole palette full of super stickers back there I'm going to have to look at. But thank you very much. Do those super stickers show up on the YouTube feed and just not in my StreamYard thing? I think that could be it. Anyway, I'm just going to go out and say that's fake. Now this is, I don't know, borderline insulting, but if I have to bear it, you do too. This I call gliding Bigfoot, but it's like, okay, so here's our guy right here, right? As if you can even tell what that is from this distance. But anyway, here we go. Look at him just, it's like he's on a skateboard or something. He's just zipping along there. The problem with something like this is that could just be a guy in a coat. You can't see anything. And let's face it, also could be just dropped in with, a editing program. But again, look how everything is blurry. Stuff in the foreground is blurry. Stuff in the background is blurry. Everything is blurry. Look at that guy booking, man. Oh, there you go. Pity Mouse says, yes, they're cute stickers. So she can see the stickers. Okay. At least you guys are getting to see the entertaining stickers, and I appreciate it very much. So, I could do this with my daughter. I could have her go, have her film me walking out in the grass like that and go, oh, it's Bigfoot. Yeah. All right, now I'm going to show you this because this really sort of makes my case of why I'm so skeptical. Okay, so here's your Bigfoot right here, right? As you see, Bigfoot doesn't move, but the camera guy's like, oh my gosh, it's Bigfoot, run. Okay. Now, what's the truth? The truth is, folks, that's a tree stump. Okay. It looks like there's a monkey head right here, doesn't it? There's eyes right there, a nose right there. Here's the mouth, the chin. But this is a tree stump. The tree has fallen over back down here, and this is the bottom of the tree that just, you blur it up just enough. It looks like Bigfoot sitting out there in the woods. So this one's actually been officially debunked as a tree stump. But that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with, is this fakery without any integrity, but with high intentions of good entertainment value. So I can't fault them, but when I see stuff like this, it just sort of reinforces my skepticism to say, that's why I don't believe any of this crap. I want to. The kid in me wants to believe it's real. I want to believe if I go out camping in the Oregon wilderness, that I won't get eaten by a bear or a mountain lion, but I will encounter Bigfoot. That's what I'm hoping. And yet my hopes are dwindling. Sir Native Cal says skinwalkers and wendigos are the real creepy cryptids. We do skinwalker videos when I can find some decent ones. And, well, a wendigo is basically an abominable snowman, right? I mean, I'm using the comic book reference. But yeah, we don't always focus on Bigfoot because sometimes there isn't any good Bigfoot videos. There's happened to be a plethora of them this week. But I'll look at anything that is not of this world or strange and is of this world. My thoughts exactly. If there's a Bigfoot out there, it would have been found hundreds of years ago. If we can find giant squids in the ocean and photograph them, you're telling me we can't find a giant monkey man living in the woods? Sorry. Barb, thank you for this, the super stickers, but come on, man. Ogopogo is real and UFOs and Sasquatch is supernatural. BC because BC. Now I'm not doubting that Ogopogo is like a big fish, like a sturgeon. Most lake monsters turn out to be either complete hoaxes or sturgeons. So I need a little better proof than you just telling me that it's real. I have seen, we've done some Ogopogo video on this show, and it was interesting but unconvincing. So we're going to need a little bit more. Oh, British Columbia. Okay. BC, British Columbia. There we go. Okay. I got you. I got you. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for this evening. It is after midnight and after 3 a.m. on the East Coast. Actually, I'm shocked at the size of the audience we have tonight this late. I appreciate it very much. You guys hit the like and subscribe if you're not regular viewers of Aaron Live. We do it every Sunday, usually at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. That'd be 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, a little earlier. But circumstances, babysitting threw off the schedule. So here we are late night. I appreciate you guys joining me. It's been good fun. I appreciate all the super chats. Could not do it without you. Please remember to check out the links in the description of this video for Wraith of God 3 and my website for back issues and all sorts of stuff that maybe you missed out on, as well as original artwork. So until next week, everybody keep the faith, and we'll see you right here on Aaron Live. Good night, everybody.